Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I did not create the live stream beforehand, so Aurora and Apol, you guys found it. Thank you for being here. All right. Well, really quick, let me just come to what we got here on the DOM. There are a couple of really big bids below us for some reason, which is very interesting. And overall, there is a lot of liquidity out there as well. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Well, oh, because we had wait, what? Really? No, that can't be right. Yeah, I just refreshed. I was like, it was giving me numbers, and I'm like, there's no way that that's what the numbers are today. Oh, we get New York Fed inflation expectations at 9 today, so that's important. Okay, so we got 3 and 6 month bill auctions today. Did we hit 05 on Friday? Let's go see. I mean, we did touch it well, during the stream we just barely touched it though. Like, it didn't clear. I don't know if they ever cleared it. So let's come and see. We're looking for 06. No, that can't be right because we were here at, well, let's zoom in. Okay, they did go much lower later in the day. Okay, so we had this, and that's where it was kind of like barely tapped it. And then it looks like afterwards they did go. Okay, so they went a little bit lower. Overall, I kind of felt like that the reaction to the non-farms on Friday was really maybe a little overdone relative to the what would I say, like the economic significance of it. So like when you look at the economic significance of it, okay, the headline numbers were good enough. They made revisions to the previous months. So overall, it was a really weak looking report. So I think that this move over here probably reflects more positioning and people that were maybe positioning on hedging against that rather than a change in expectations about employment or inflation. Okay? So that's the only thing that I can say there. There is some like maybe near-term support areas around here that we can potentially look at, or probably better here would be to look at where we're at on the moving averages. Okay, so we plunged through all of the moving averages yesterday. That's interesting. All right. Oil, there is still talk about an Iranian nuclear deal, but today it is on the upswing. Gold and silver maybe kind of coming down a little. Well, they came down. Oh, okay, that's very interesting. Gold came down on the non-farms on Friday, but silver apparently did not. Silver looks like, I don't know, man. Silver really looks like a squeeze of some sort. I don't know. Like, it's very curious that we're getting this kind of action, and I'm not seeing a lot of news stories or discussion about it, but like something crazy has been going on in silver. Okay, copper is a little bit down. There was some Chinese news, but they kind of shrugged it off. And the Japanese yen. So there was this clean line. It looks like things have shifted. actually maybe a little bit higher than when we got the non-farms news. And Bitcoin, ooh, interesting. So Bitcoin took a big hit on the... Actually, I think that this was because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump arguing with each other, but it recovered that move. So this morning, though, I don't know. There's a weird setup on the DOM. I don't know. You know, so this does remind me of the whole thing that we had with AO, right? Because AO was saying, oh, I'm targeting this spot. And I'm pretty sure that the reason that he was looking at that spot was because there was a large bid down there. Now, it kind of came up, moderated, did all sorts of weird things, and then came down. So I think if we were looking for like a situation to say like, hey, those orders, those actually matter, I don't think that would be a very good, fair case. But today would be a good test of it, right? Like, do we touch 30 and 28? Because there's nothing really like, it's not like that's the overnight low or anything like that. Am I missing that? No, wait. Oh, okay. So there is. Actually, it is. I'm wrong. There was 28. 28 was Friday's low. The 30, I'm not sure about. I don't know why the 30 is showing. The 30 may just be the volume rolled down. So, oh, he says that it wasn't because of that. It was because of correlations of other markets. Oh, okay. So that 28 was Friday's low. So that, I think, is a situation that I would pay attention to it. Like, a new daily low tends to trigger momentum strategies. So that's something we can keep an eye on. Sarvan says, good evening. Good evening. Wait, where are you at? Are you in... I mean, if you were in Europe, I would think that you would say good afternoon, right? Kids were in here and ruined my little reminder board. Let's figure out, well, and it's reminding me to turn on the algos. There we go. Okay. Man. Trying to grab it without bending the sticky note. Because I hate it when the sticky note like curls up. India. Oh, that's interesting. You know, I have had a lot of Indians come into my stream, but it's been a while since I've spoken with anybody in India. So that's cool. Okay, well, I would say there's some good liquidity on the DOM and everything, but the beginning movement here is not very inspiring. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. You know, the things we were talking about Friday, well, obviously the news, the non-farms news, but then a lot of focus on Elon Musk and Donald Trump arguing, right? Belligerent, welcome back. You know, so I've seen a lot of discussion online for some reason about the auction on Thursday. So the auctions kind of spread out a little bit weird here. And there's not much this week, but on Thursday there is a 30-year auction. And just because it's the next next auction with a really long maturity date is why I think people online are talking about it. They think that, this is coming from the guys that are really into the short bond trade, essentially. So they think that the bond auctions could be really bad. But I think that usually when people are talking about an auction like that somehow the Treasury has a way of making sure that the auction goes well. You know what I mean? But let's come over here and see what news do we have later this week. So I do think that we have some important economic reports before then, right? Let's make sure we got the filters set up correct this week. Okay. Oh, so today is a French and German bank holiday. That's interesting. We do get, it's not listed on this one. At 9 o'clock, we do get the Fed inflation expectations survey, which is important because the University of Michigan survey has become practically useless. So probably more people are watching that than normal. Okay. CPI is on Wednesday and PPI on Thursday. There's that 30-year bond auction. And then Friday, okay. So it's probably going to be relatively tight until Wednesday, huh? Well, they did move a step lower. Seems a little shy at 30, but... So one thing that we could watch for is that sometimes when bonds are falling, there's not really strong flows selling it. It just kind of slips through. It's like buyer strike sort of a thing. So that's one kind of oddity. I haven't seen that very much on most of the sell that we've had in the past, like what, 1 or 2 months? But it may start getting into that. So that's something to watch for. Okay, what's this? This guy says, recently I've been looking into treating price as a chaotic entity, not random, but something which has properties within the math physics definition of chaos. It's provided a lot of benefit to me than RSI, MFI. Oh, okay, but how would you be doing that? I don't... It's kind of a weird post. I mean, he's on the right track, but he didn't provide any way to use it. So there's an interesting uptick. They weren't okay. There's 3 orders now, but they weren't immediately hitting that offer. Doesn't look like very many buyers at the moment. seeing the Japanese yen is kind of on the move again, moving down. So it's curious that that's pushed to new lows in a pretty convincing fashion, but the treasuries have not. Dom Bricks, welcome back. Now, remind me, I actually have to get going a little bit early today because they're doing a job training at work in a different place that I haven't been before. And the Google Maps says that it should be like, you know, it should be fine, but I don't believe it. So me gonna leave maybe 15 minutes earlier. The Treasury futures options are kind of quiet today. Well, maybe they're quiet relative to last week just because non-farms. Although, what was it like earlier in the week? What was it like last Monday? I would expect things to be really quiet until CPI, right? So with CPI, remember that last CPI, the numbers were lighter than expected. If we got another lighter than expected CPI report, I think that the market would respond to that in a meaningful way. Of course, it depends on the numbers, and there's like a really wide range of outcomes. But like, well, let's see here. Do we have... I wish I hadn't closed it. Do we have estimates? Forex Factory. Pull it over here. Wednesday. CPI. Okay. Month over month spot 2 and core CPI spot 3. So if that CPI was like a spot 1, or that core CPI was a spot 2, I think that the market would respond really strongly to that. Similarly, if it was the opposite, if this was like a spot 4 or this was a spot 3, probably would push the treasuries lower. I don't know if it would be as big of a move. Well, I think that either way would be a pretty big move, right? So there's definitely going to be a certain amount of, you know, people like the really big players probably aren't going to want to move a whole lot before Wednesday. And that does kind of put us in a strange situation because you got the CPI and the PPI, and then you have a bond auction on Thursday. But I guess we'll see how it goes, huh? Oh, I missed Belligerent's comment here. Anytime I hear the words chaos or chaos theory, my mind immediately goes to Jeff Goldblum's character in the movie Jurassic Park. Really? So if you haven't read Making Sense of Chaos, I want every one of you to read that book.
Order submitted.
I think it's a significant book. We need people to read that book. Probably not going to help you in your trading, but it will help you in your understanding of economics. Okay, that's interesting. Robot went short there. We were worried last time it didn't really take trades. And there was there's something wrong with it. But it took that one. It went short. Well, now that it's going short, that's probably exactly where it's going to flip around. In this situation, I would not expect the robot to do very well. So I guess we'll find out. But probably it goes another ticker. This might be it goes a tick lower and they're not able to beat 28 and then buyers come in really aggressively. I think that in this situation, we don't have very much predictive ability, right? So when I say that, I'm not saying that's a prediction and that's a trade that I would take. I'm kind of more being cynical. That's what tends to happen in this really choppy action is you'll get the signal to go short based on imbalancing the order flow, and that's just before it turns around. And then if I were to take the trade, that's the one where it turns into a trend day and never stops. Okay, well, there's 29. So there was a paper out, I don't remember if it was Friday but relatively recently, by Apple called The Illusion of Thinking. And in this paper, they basically posited that, or they basically made the case that these LLMs were not actually thinking, that it was really just really advanced pattern matching. And I haven't had the chance to read that, but I am already seeing people in the AI subreddits questioning this paper and saying that it's not a good paper. This is just corporate damage control, coordinated FUD rather than legitimate research. Flops on puzzles like Tower of Hanoi and River Crossing. They fail past a certain complexity and give up when things get more complex or difficult. I don't know about that part. The LLMs, there's been many cases where these things are just have incredible tenacity and will break all of the rules to try and meet your objective. It gets really crazy. They will cheat and stuff. Oh, this guy posted a long post. And all of the comments on it are deleted. That's worth looking at. So I was browsing through here thinking, there's not as much stuff about the riots in California as I thought there would be. But now I'm seeing all of the Reddit posts about that. So, does kind of look to me like maybe dying down today, though. In a week, will we have all forgotten about it? Who's a better businessman, Bernard Amalt or Larry Ellison? Let's see here. Bernard, he's that luxury fashion guy, right? LVMH Arnold, the world's largest luxury goods company. Well, here's the thing. I think, I don't know, because I don't really know enough about their individual business practices. I do know, Oracle has an interesting story. There's a lot of it here in Utah, so I guess if I had to pick, like, if there were like, if you had the opportunity to spend a day with Bernard Arnault or Larry Ellison, I would probably pick Larry, simply because of the local connections. But I kind of feel like that the luxury brand thing, like becoming a really big stock and everything, was kind of more a function of that specific market. Like, I don't expect those companies to continue to do as well in the future. What I'm starting to see is that people are moving to maybe what I would call luxury brands, but not like these crazy expensive ones, but kind of more, they're moving to, like, there's been a shift in this fashion industry towards natural materials. Like, I think I mentioned this on Friday, maybe not, but no, I did not, because it was on Friday that I saw this. I saw a video on Friday. It came across to me on Reddit, where this guy basically said he was abandoning techwear. Like, he had a YouTube channel where some of the stuff that he talked about was about techwear, and he's like, oh, I'm not doing techwear anymore. And guess what he was doing? He was doing more natural fibers. So like real cotton, real linen, things like that. I went to the mall last Monday or Tuesday for kid's birthday, and the largest store in that mall now is Cotton On, which is I had never heard of before, like 2 years ago when I first saw it show up in the mall downtown. So that's pretty crazy, and stuff there is expensive. So like for it to be that big of a store is like, what? So I think that the luxury brand thing, it's kind of imploded. Everybody's like, oh, wait a second. I'm not actually buying something that's like really better, or there's something special about it that makes it better and worth spending the money on. I'm spending the money on the name. And as soon as people figured that out, and I think it really, really happened when the tariffs happened, right? And then all of these Chinese companies were like, oh, I make this, I make Lululemon, I make these. and all of a sudden you realize, oh, it's actually not. It's made in China like everything else. So there's been a shift. So I wouldn't expect Bernard's company to continue to do as well as it was. Yeah, I live in Salt Lake City. Well, in the suburbs north of Salt Lake City. Man, I tell you what, did I not just totally call this? The robot took a short, it went one tick lower, didn't really do anything, and has now backed up 4 ticks. When we're on like a really slow day, the robot will do terrible. Hasn't gotten a long signal yet. I guess there's always a chance that it holds on and it does end up going lower. Apparently Utah is a beautiful place. Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just Utah. I think the weather in Utah the climate in Utah is incredibly unique because we are a mountain area that is also a desert. So it's pretty rare. Like really the only other area of the world that's like this is Tehran. But basically because of the Sierra Nevadas, that the Sierra Nevadas kind of soak up all of the moisture that comes from the Pacific Ocean. So you get a desert on the other side of the Sierra Nevadas. But then you get the Rockies, which is a really, really big mountain range. So then you do get a lot of snow that and precipitation that dumps on the mountains. So the snow in particular, you get amazing snow because you get really big snowfall. Those especially where like Solitude, Snowbird, Alta are behind a really, really big mountain. It's basically what it's about. And the mountain is just placed just right by where the lake is to get the lake effect and all of these sorts of things. So when it snows there, it snows. I mean, you get really big, very consistent snowfall. But it's very, very dry, powdery snowfall. And then, yeah, you're here in the valley and you see those mountains. And depending, it's kind of funny when you're up close to them, they don't seem that big of a deal. But when you look at them from across the valley, you're like, holy crap, those are crazy mountains. So it's very impressive. But most of Utah is just like desert and sagebrush, and it's not that interesting. So let's see here, GK. I'm not sure I understand your question here. Been using NinjaTrader for 2 weeks now, and I'm curious if you use a window management tool or if you just do your best to line up. Oh, I think I understand what you're saying. You're saying like, I can't get the windows to line up like exactly. Yeah, dude, it is my biggest complaint. So I do have a management tool. So like for the NinjaTrader windows, I use AquaSnap. And that will like snap it to the next window, but it doesn't work with NinjaTrader. For some reason, the framework that NinjaTrader uses is not compatible with any of those kinds of tools. So what I do is I have a wallpaper that is really, really boring. Do you see it back there? It's basically just a grid. It's a grid with kind of a little bit of a gradient, but it's just a grid. Where did I send my chart to? It's the 2-year. There we go. Maybe I do it like that. There you go. You see the grid there? So it's just a gray background in the back. And that way, when I'm moving the NinjaTrader charts around, I can just see that little teeny tiny thin line. And I just resize the window until it's pixel perfect. Another thing that I have, I know, like, this is going to sound ridiculous, but you're OCD, so... This tool right here, it's called a ruler for windows. And this gives me a little ruler that is literally in pixels. So I can come in here and I can say, okay, what is my screen resolution divided by 4? And then resize the windows to line up exactly onto that ruler. And that's how I got my setup to be so clean over here. So I sized one window to be exactly the pixels that were supposed to be. And then, just copied that one window, like right click and duplicated new window so that they're all the same size. And then they get off a little bit by a pixel or two, but that's how I did it. It was really annoying though, isn't it? Ain't it? Yeah. If you know what else I use that for? So in when you're video editing, one of the things that's a good idea to do is to think about where people's eyes are going to be, like where the viewer is going to be looking. So you don't want it to be like, here's your frame, right? And there's a person on the screen and they have their eyes here, right? And then the next frame, there's a face down here and they're looking, because you have to go from here to down here. What you would really like to do is for the next area of focus to be exactly where the previous area of focus was. So like if I do a zoom in, I want the eyes to be in line still when I do the zoom. Well, how do you do that? You have to like basically take the one frame up, mark a line, and then do. And I found that with the default DaVinci Resolve tools that's kind of hard to do. So I use that ruler. I just put that ruler in front of it, and that marks the line where I'm going. And then I move to the next frame, and I adjust and crop the image accordingly. So that's another useful thing that the ruler is for. That one is a free tool. How'd you uncover this? I don't know. I just had these problems, and I found one to solve it. There's really 3. By the way, this one I need to restart it. For some reason, the screen annotation thing, like, if you've had it open long enough, it dies. I think that there's like a memory leak in it or something. Well, let's see if restarting it is better. There's something about maybe some of the software that I run or something that makes this tool work not as well, because I was having problems with it. I switched machines, still have problems with it. So I think it's some other piece of software. Okay, but this one is called Epic Pen. Epic Pen does a couple of cool things. I can draw like that. I can do a highlighter, which is really, really useful, right? For us. So I can come in and I can be like, oh, look, what's with this really big bit right here? Oh, cool, right? Also, it can put a little circle around the cursor so you can see where it is a little bit better. I think if I click, it makes a little thing. I should probably have that on all the time, but I don't. You can also have a timer on it. So like if I draw, it fades away over time. That's pretty cool. And then you can also do shapes and even text. Cool. And then you can pick colors and all that. So that's the one that I use. And then the other one that I use is, I just showed you the ruler. I'll just show you really quick. There's a couple of interesting buttons that'll make the ruler vertical. For instance, you can resize the ruler. There are skins, so you can make it change the opacity and all those sorts of things. Okay, that one's super cool. And then the other one is Aquasnap. Aquasnap is actually pretty wild. So the main feature of Aquasnap is that Windows will kind of act like magnets. If I get it close enough, it just boop, goes right to the edge of that window. Boop. Okay, but there's also, it also works with the resizing. If I resize the window, it will, oh, it won't let me resize this window, but you get the idea. As you're resizing, it will snap to the other window. Oh, I forget. This one, Aquasnap, is something. Oh, the snap is like if I move I'll pull up a little browser window. If I pull up a browser window, I can like make it snap to the edges. I use this other tool called Power Toy. So I guess that would be the fourth one. Power Toy does it. Okay. There's also like there's glue. So like you can put a bunch of windows together and then move that whole Windows group as a whole. Shake. I have shake disabled, but shake is like if you take a window and go like this, then everything else will minimize. Glass. Glass is like as you move it, my window becomes transparent so that I can see what's behind it. And then there's a little bit of stuff. And this is one of those things where I think it's just like $20 one time or something like that. Like totally worth it. This makes Windows so much better. This makes Windows so much better, Aquasnap. So Aquasnap is really cool. Is there a setting for allow child Windows snapping? That's how I got Ninja to respond to fancy zones. Oh, I don't know what that. I've never seen that. I don't think so. Maybe I should contact the developers about that, and then we could get it to work with them. But you say with fancy zones, so that is a Power Toy thing, isn't it? Let's see if I find that in fancy zones. Layout editor. Allow child Windows snapping. Wait, let's try it. Let's just make a new chart. Disable round corners when window is snapped? That's a thing? Oh my gosh, that's a game changer. I never noticed that. Okay, but allow child window snapping, it didn't work. If I hold this window and I hold my key shift, it doesn't, I get nothing. Well, it kind of does, it does something because it's like, it's slower, but when I let go, it doesn't like resize. Correct. There's a catch. The dragging within fancy doesn't work, so you must use the key command. Oh. Okay, wait. So the key command is Windows Shift tilde? No. It's not quite that. Maybe it's the whole move windows between zones. Windows key plus arrows. Ah, now it works. That's cool. Very good. I like it. So that probably would. So you could come in and wait, Windows Shift tilde, open it back up, and then you come in and you make a custom layout, right? Create a new layout. It would be a grid. You can call it Ninja. Okay. And then with these, I think that space around zones, you want right, you change. So like you do this. Where do I go? Edit. Okay, so we want to like that. And then you'd set them all up correctly, right? Set them all up correctly and save it. And then you'd come in here and turn the space to 0. Ta-da! Move newly created windows to their last known zone. Ah. Cool. But for this one, I think this screen, I want that. I don't understand why Windows doesn't include these sorts of things by default. Like, they just, for some reason, their UI improvements have been really poor. Do you scalp after hours? Not really. I find that the methods that we use to trade work best between the hours of about 8:30 to 11 o'clock Eastern time, which is the most active times of the market, and also when most of the major economic releases are released. And felt a little bit of an earthquake there. And yeah, they just, you want to be there when the big players are making moves, which is not right now. But the big players want to make moves when there's the most market liquidity for them to work with. So trading after hours is kind of a sketchy proposition. They're too busy forcing us to see ads on our lock screens, yeah. Well, I think really it's that the profit center of Microsoft is no longer the operating system. The operating system was the thing that they used to get their foothold in the market. They do sell support to businesses, and so that's part of it. So the business side of it is better. And the business side is not as much like, you know, having a really good productive desktop GUI experience. Rather, it's more about, you know, Active Directory and Outlook and those sorts of things. And then the cloud. You know, all of these companies, the cloud is a huge profit center for them. So Microsoft has gotten better in many respects. I think that Steve Ballmer was a bad thing for the tech in general. So they're going better, but they're kind of hit and miss, you know. And even when they have hit it out of the park with Windows, you don't actually get really meaningful productivity updates, even though there's plenty of great tools to kind of pull from. What do you make of Besant and his buying up of treasuries with respect to treasury futures moving forward? Sure. Okay, so what he's talking about is that the treasury has been conducting a repurchase program practically every day. And this has been going on for quite some time. And in some instances, the amount that they are repurchasing is like really insane. So the reason this is happening is because under the Biden administration, there was a lot of debt that had to be rolled forward. And instead of rolling it forward like 10, 20, 30 years and, you know, taking advantage of those lower interest rates, they didn't want to do that because that would put pressure on the longer end of the curve. So instead, they took it out on the shorter end. They took it out on the 1s, 2s, 5s, right? And so now those are due again, and we have to refinance a ton of debt, except for that now the interest rates are really, really high. And so you're offering all of that debt out to the market, and it pushes the treasuries down in a situation where treasuries were kind of pressured anyways because of some other factors. Right. So what do? You've kind of got to deal with the supply and demand. And so they've been kind of pulling out all of the tricks that they have to deal with that. So what I would say is that there's a lot of people out there that are really bearish treasuries, and they think that like the treasury market is just going to absolutely collapse. Well, that's probably not going to happen as long as Besant is around. He really knows what he's doing, and he's been pretty good with this stuff. I saw an article the other day that like the three guys that are involved in this with like, because Besant is involved in negotiations too for like trade deals and stuff, they have like overlapping responsibilities, but Besant is the one that I trust the most. And the one that I think has kind of been single-handedly holding this economy together. I think he was the one that was kind of like, we need to shift our strategy with the trade war stuff. That I think was part of that too. So as long as, you know, they're able to do things like that, pretty unlikely that you're going to see just an outright collapse of the treasury market. Doesn't mean that interest rates can't go higher, but you're probably not going to see an outright collapse. And that's why for things like, again, on Thursday, there's a 30-year bond auction, and some people are kind of paying attention to that because it's the next really long maturity auction coming up. You know, and some people are like, that's when the treasury market is just going to absolutely collapse. Well, I'm telling you, they kind of have these, and I don't know how it works, but they've got these tricks that, you know, if everybody's watching for that, they have ways of making sure that that particular auction is going to look really good. So that's something. Now, what is the long-term impact of that? I'm not entirely sure, but probably it will weaken your currency. And right now, like, that's okay. That's what they want. They want the currency to be weaker, right? So feel like the market is pretty much dead, so you can scalp a few ZB ticks, seeing how the day traded overall. Well, so when the market gets really slow and you have to take a trade, you are going to go for smaller targets, and you know, one tickers can be interesting in that kind of action. But my experience has been that no matter what I try to do, when I try to make plays like that in this kind of action, I always get screwed. So I just avoid them altogether. Some just an interesting thing to note here. I had pulled it up, and I am gonna have to be going here in like 10 minutes. But I saw here's a post on Reddit. Apex is so cooked as a prop firm. I suggest avoiding it at all costs. I will not give these people 1 more cent. They are making us profitable traders jump through so many hoops to get our gains. Okay. By the way, it's really funny that you would, like, if you are a truly profitable trader, then shouldn't you just have a funded account and be gotten your payouts every month for like the last, you know, whatever? Show me a profitable trader that's gotten payouts every month for 5 years. I don't think it exists. I don't think it exists. And that would be my standard of a profitable trader. Well, anyways, that wasn't the interesting thing. Here's this person. I have 7 PA accounts with them and was just starting to be eligible for payouts. They sent me an email last week asking for an explanation of my trading strategy, as well as 5 days in a row of daily trade explanations. I'm eligible for payouts on 2 of the 7 accounts, and now I'm scared I'll be declined. I've completed the 5 days of emails, and I am planning on requesting a payout next week. Fingers crossed. Yeah, exactly. So if you guys are, by the way, I do not recommend prop firms. I think what they're doing is dirty. But what's happening in this instance in particular is they see that this guy is getting close to a payout, and they don't want to pay him out because it's not live. He's not trading live. So when he gets paid out, that's money out of their pocket. They have a explicit incentive for you to not get payouts. So when somebody is getting close to a payout, what they will do is they will send you an email to stress you out, to get you into your head. And that very often causes these people to blow the accounts shortly afterwards. And I think that that's what's going on right here. PayPal says they sent him the stress email. And the reason that we know that this happens is because there was a prop firm that went under, and all of the private communications from their private Discord administrator channel was leaked to the public. And in those chat logs, they explicitly talked about doing this, saying these guys are getting close, so we send them an email. That's pretty dirty. I would comment and say that on this post, but this thread was 2 days ago. Actually, I'm going to still say it. We'll see if he sees it. Maybe he'll see it. 2 days ago. He's probably still around. I don't know. Okay, so now I'm thinking about this whole job training today. Oh, you know what? I didn't say anything about the... Well, I mean, I mentioned them briefly, but I was kind of looking to see if anybody would pop in and say, or if our regular troll would say anything about it, but I don't think that they're here today. But riots in California, because I saw a lot of stuff over the weekend of people like saying like, oh, we're going to have a civil war and all of these sorts of things. But you know what? I find interesting that like the reactions to this were very different. Like compared to say the Black Lives Matters protests, right? Black Lives Matters protests before, it was like there was all sorts of chaos and destruction going around. And Trump administration wanted to do something about it. And they're like, no, that'll just make the situation worse. And so they decided to be hands off. And some cities, they really just let get destroyed. So this time around, the Trump administration is like, no, we're not going to play with that. So as soon as something happened, they call in the National Guard. So the National Guard did come in. They were rough. I see people on Reddit complaining. But when I look around on social media, I do not see the same kind of reaction. Of course, in the conservative circles, I'm going to see people kind of deriding the protests and things like that. But like when I go into the Reddit threads in places where I would expect it to be very liberal biased, I don't see explicit support. Instead, I say, you know, this is bad optics. We should be doing this strategy. We should be doing this. Like something I see really commonly is there's no American flags. All of the flags are Mexican flags. And that's bad optics. Well, it is, but so people are not reacting to this, I think, the same way. Now, of course, I'm sure that in a few days there will be polling and we can see how this goes in polling. And I don't know if this is going to just die out now or if it's going to kind of be like it's probably like this individual protest is going to die down and we're going to forget about this particular incident, but that you will continue to see like unrest in liberal areas over and over again, as long as ICE is around making arrests, right? And it'll just kind of be this persistent issue. But it seems to be going a different way politically. And so I do think that this is something that we kind of have to watch from a political perspective, but only a small one. Because the truth is that even if the Democrats did really, really well this next midterm elections, it wouldn't change a whole lot policy-wise in a way that would be relevant to the markets. So what we're looking at right now is kind of more flavor and understanding the politics and the evolution of the politics so that when the politics do matter, you understand them, right? So that was just something I noted that I wanted to share. We'll see the social media reactions later today, I guess. Okay, back to the Apex thing. I wonder how many good strategies that Apex has data mined from their customers. Maybe. I don't know, man. I think that retail traders... So, like, I'm going to bet you that you either have traders that understand the news and they're making plays like that, or they're lucky. Most is probably the vast majority of it. Because the thing is I've never heard of this. Oh, here's this guy. So like if prop firms really worked the way that everybody claims, then what I would expect to happen is some guy comes in and does the combine and everything passes, starts getting funded, trades for a year or two, does really well, like consistently makes payouts, consistently sizes up the account, and the prop firm, and maybe there's like 2 or 3 guys like this, right? And at that point, if you're really making money from the market, at that point you would basically redirect all of your attention towards those guys, wouldn't you? Like that would be the way that would be the most profitable center in your business, would be these guys that have a really profitable strategy. And maybe you would start doing things like, okay, let's talk to this guy. Let's figure out how his strategy works. And then maybe there are some tools and the resources that we have that we can use to make them even more profitable. But you never hear anything like that, do you? Trades by Brandon. That's a interesting name. Is that? Because those Trades by Matt is a popular name. Is that a play on that? Anyways, welcome to the stream. So yeah, I think that a lot of what I see just kind of suggests to me that prop firms really make money just from everybody paying the combines and failing. And it seems to me that the rules are set up in a way to basically eliminate any kind of really profitable strategy from actually working. Like, you could come in and you could run like a momentum strategy or a, something like that. None of those fit the rules. You can't have positions open overnight. You can't have, positions in dozens of different things at the same time. They don't any kind of they don't like arbitrage kind of strategies, right? Anything that's like a real strategy, they basically have a rule to prevent you from using it. Funny, isn't it? This is why I do not recommend prop firms. I mean, people can claim they make money and how am I supposed to prove that? All I can say is that that the incentives aren't aligned. All I can say is that the incentives aren't aligned. They make more money when you lose. And based on that alone, I would not recommend doing prop firms. Similarly, your prop firm, your broker, their incentive is for you to trade as much as possible. They're not necessarily there to make you profitable. But they want you to make as many trades as possible, because then that's how they make their commissions, right? So you always kind of have to keep that in mind when you're working with your broker. I don't know what Brandon means by DCA traders always have a difficult time. Yeah, but anyways. So let's see here. Before I got to run off here, I will just really quick. Treasuries, we were pressured early on, but we came back up. It is just a super, super slow session. Oil did give up some of its gains. And the S&P 500 hasn't really done anything much interesting. So, dollar cost average traders always have a difficult time. Yeah, the way that the prop firm works kind of makes it difficult for dollar cost averaging too. Sure, yeah. Momentum strategies is a thing. Look into how real momentum strategies portfolios work. But I digress. It's time for me to get going, guys. I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, stay